let's graph these two equations. They are both in standard form. Okay, so remember when I graph them, I have two choices. I can rearrange into slope-intercept form, or I can find the intercepts. Now look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one question by rearranging. I'm going to do the other question by finding the intercepts. I don't recommend that. I recommend that you just choose your favorite method and just do both of them that way. But I'm going to rearrange this one. So what I want it to look like, remember I want it to look like y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to keep the y over here. Let's get rid of everything else. This is negative 4x plus 12. I'm going to divide by negative 3. Okay, so this is y equals negative divided by negative is positive. And 4 divided by 3 would be a decimal. So I'm just going to keep it as a fraction. 4 over 3x. And then 12 divided by negative 3 is negative 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph that. I'm going to start at a y-intercept of negative 4. And my slope is 4 over 3. So I'm going to rise 4, run 3. And on the final, I really do recommend that you do one and then graph it, and then do the other and then graph it. Because otherwise, I just feel like, I don't know, it just ends up getting kind of mixed up. All right, so something like that. Okay, now I didn't graph it that neatly. I might need to go back and like do a little bit more neatly. 4, 3, 4, 3. Yeah, I did okay. All right, now here I could do exactly the same thing, right? But look, I'm going to do it. I'm going to like choose the other, right? This is rearranging. Okay, I'm going to find the intercept. So this is my x-intercept. Remember, I could have done the same strategy over here, right? This is just two separate strategies. Doesn't matter which one you do. For my x-intercept, I'm going to plug in my 0 for my y. 6 times 0 is 0. That leaves me with this equation. I divide by negative 2 on both sides. I get x equals negative 6. So that's x is negative 6, and my y value, remember I plugged in 0. Okay, and my y-intercept is, I'm plugging in 0 for x, plus 6y equals 12. And then this is 6y equals 12. Divide by 6, I get y equals 2. So that's when I plug in 0 for x, I get 2 for y. So let's go ahead and graph that. I'm going to graph negative 6, 0, 2y, sorry, negative 6, 0, and then my y-intercept at 2, at 0, 2. And when I sketch this line, it's going to look something like this. On the final, you'll be on the computer, so you won't need to be so neat. And here is my solution. My solution is at 6, 4. And what I would do on the final is I would check. Look, check 6, 4. Does it work in both equations? Look, my solution was 6, 4, right? Does this work? Look, 24 minus 12 equals 12. Yeah, that's true. It works in the first equation. Let's check it in the second equation. It was 6 and 4 was where my solution point was, right? Look here, 6, 4. Let's do it. This is negative 12 plus 24. Hey, that does equal 12. Okay, so we're good. It works. Write the equation of the line that passes through negative 2, 10, and 1, 1. Okay, remember, if I want an equation, what I need is just two things. I need my m and my b. That's it. Okay, so let's start with the m. The m, I use the slope formula. Okay, this is going to be provided for you on the final exam. It's up on the reference sheet. Okay, this is x1, y1, x2, y2. Let's plug in y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 is negative 2. This is 1 minus 10, that's negative 9. This becomes 1 plus 2, that's 3. This is negative 9 divided by 3. A negative divided by a positive is a negative, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. That is my slope. I'm ready to write that in here. Now I still need my b. Okay, how am I going to find it? I'm going to plug in. This is my m, right? I'm going to choose one of my points. It doesn't matter which one. Like, look, I'll choose this one, just make my life easier. You could choose this one. You could plug in this for y and this for x. Actually, you know what? I'm going to choose this one just so you can see really clearly what's happening here. because with them both being the same, it's a little hard to see. What I'm doing is I'm plugging in my x, my y, and my m. I'm plugging in here. Okay, so my y is 10 equals negative 3 times x plus b. And then I'm just solving for b, right? That's what I need. I need my y-intercept. I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides to get b by itself. 4 equals b. So my b is positive 4. Okay, and if you want, what you can do is you can take this equation, you can plug this in to check, right? If, let's see, x is 1 and y is 1. Negative 3 times 1, that's negative 3 plus 4. Yep, that equals 1. Okay, so this is my answer. All right, let's take a look. There are 2 plants on the windowsill. One plant starts at 4 inches tall and grows 3 inches per week. Another plant starts at 16 inches tall and grows 1 inch per week. After how many weeks will they be the same height? What height will they be? Okay, this is a classic situation of a starting point and a rate of change. For that, I love to use my y equals mx plus b, right, where my start is here and my change is here. So I'm going to write an equation for this plant. It starts at 4 inches tall and grows 3 inches per week. So that is, it's starting at 4, that's my start, and it's changing by 3 inches each week. Okay, whereas my other plant, it starts at 16 inches tall, and it grows 1 inch per week. Okay. Now, this equals y, this also equals y. That means these two things must equal each other. Let's do it. 3x plus 4 equals 1x plus 16, and now we are solving. Okay, I have x's on both sides. We know we can't have that. Let's get all the x's to one side. Okay, my x is 6. Now remember, the 6 is the weeks. Okay, how do I know? Because look, here's what's happening in my equation. I'm starting at 4. I'm adding 4 no matter what. But then however many weeks have passed, that's how many times I'm adding 3, right? Like if 2 weeks have passed, this is 3 times 2, that's 6 inches over 2 weeks, plus the original 4 that the plant started at. So after 6 weeks, how tall will they both be? Well, let's see. The first plant will be this tall, right? And the second plant will be this tall. Let's do the math. 3 times 6, that's 18, plus 4, that's 22. 1 times 6, we know that's just 6, right? This is just 6 plus 16, which is also 22. Okay, so after 6 weeks, they're both going to be 22 inches tall. All right, here we go. Last problem. Okay, Target's having a sale. Miss B and Miss K go to Target. Okay, now, what we want to know is ultimately we want to know what's the price of shirts and pants. So we're going to make S equals shirts. That's the cost of shirts. And P is the cost of pants. And what happens is I go to the store and I buy 2 shirts and 5 pairs of pants and I pay $76. So however much the shirts cost, I'm going to pay that cost twice, right? Because I'm buying 2 shirts, so however much they cost, I'm paying twice. Then however much pants costs, I'm paying that 5 times, right? 5 times the pair of pants, 5 times the cost of pants. And I'm going to spend a total of $76. Whereas Miss K, she's going to go and she's going to pay for shirts 3 times, and she's going to pay for pants 4 times. And she's going to pay $70.25. Okay, so here are my equations. All right, now I'm going to solve them. Okay, and what I'm going to do, look, is this is my variables. These are my equations. Okay. These are my variables. And I'm going to write them out separately over here because I feel like there's some confusion in the solving when I don't leave the equations written separately. So when I go to solve these, what I run into is that I would really like to use elimination, but I don't have like 2 clear things that will eliminate. Like I don't have, for example, a 5 and a negative 5 or a 2 and a negative 2, right? So what I have to do is create that situation for myself. So what I'm going to do is I realize 2 doesn't multiply to 3 and 4 doesn't multiply to 5. So I'm actually going to have to multiply both equations. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the smaller numbers. So I say to myself, what's 2 times 3? It's 6. So I'm going to make 6 my goal number. I'm going to make one of these equal positive 6 and one of them equal negative 6. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to multiply this top equation by 3. That's going to be 3 times 2. That's going to be positive 6 right here. And then here, I'm going to multiply this bottom one by negative 2. So negative 2 times 3, that's going to be negative 6 right there. So when I multiply, I'm going to have a positive 6 and a negative 6 sitting on top of each other, and that is going to allow me to eliminate. All right, so let's do it. 3 times 2s, that's 6s. 3 times 5p, that's 15p. 3 times 76, this is a great opportunity to use my calculator, which is what I will be doing. And I get 228. Down here, negative 3 times 2s, that's negative 6s. Negative 2 times 4p, that's negative 8p. And negative 2 times 70.25 is another opportunity to use my calculator very carefully, typing things in carefully so I don't screw it up. And I get negative 140.5. Now I'm ready to add these equations because when I add these equations now, bam, 6 minus 6 is 0. 15 minus 8 is 7p. And 228 minus 140.5 is going in my calculator. And I get 87.5. Now to get p by itself, I'm going to divide by 7. And I get p equals 12.5. So my pants cost $12.5. We don't write it like that, right? We write $12.50. Okay, if you type 12.5 in Edulastic, it's going to count it as correct. If you type 12.50 in Edulastic, it is also going to count it as correct, so don't stress about that. Okay, so that's pants. I still need to find the price of shirts. Okay, so let's go back to our original equations. We're going to plug in. It doesn't matter which one we plug into. Whichever one I plug into, I'm going to check it after, right? So look, first, I'm doing all this junk. Okay, now second, I'm going to plug this in and find my S value. So I'm just going to use the top equation. Okay, 5 times 12.5 is, I think it's 62.5. Let's just multiply and make sure in the calculator it is. Okay, I'm going to subtract 62.5 from both sides. Okay, again, don't get too comfortable with the calculator where you're not careful. This is 2s equals, okay, I'm doing 76 minus 62.5. I get 13.5, and I'm going to divide by 2. When you're working on the final, leave yourself enough space. I see so often with this kind of problem that like the space is the issue. Look, I've left myself tight on space, and it's so annoying. So make sure you give yourself plenty of space on the final. So shirts are $6.75. Look, I'm going to check it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check in my other equation. So 3 times the cost of shirts plus 4 times the cost of pants equals 70.25. And let's just make sure. So I'm going to do my calculator. 3 times 6.75. That's 20.25. And 4 times 12.5. That's 50. And do those two numbers add to 72.25? They sure do. And I am good to go. And my answer is there. Okay, and again, you don't have to type the $ sign or anything in Edulastic. You can just type the number, but we know that that's the price.